In the dim twilight of early evening, Wiglaf and his trusty companion, his dog Griff, strike out from Longhaven. They cross the bridge over the river of abyssal iron, and Wiglaf is suddenly further away from his town than he's ever been before because he's never crossed the river of abyssal iron. He heads eastward into, which is upward on the map, into the woods past the bridge and goes through the last part of the forest, knowing that in another day or two of journey he will be on the other side and out into the lightly forested fields and grasslands of the lower part of the havens here between the river of abyssal iron and the river to the north, which hasn't been named yet. He is in search of more information on our quest, our iron vow to find the truth behind the Death Worshippers. We'd also like to find out a little bit more that helps us stop Kova's reckless warmongering, and these two do seem to be pretty well connected since Kova's trying to work with the Death Worshippers. But we uncovered a Death Worshipper in our previous couple of sessions, and in the last session, we chased her down after she used blood magic to summon ravens and crows, which are creatures of death, and to summon entangling vines from the road. And we chased her down, and we captured her and two other death cultists, and mortally wounded a fourth one. And upon questioning of the one of the death cultists, we learned that the death cultists are convincing people to join them by explaining to them that Angus created the Great Cataclysm that wiped out all life on the other continents, and they're trying to bring another cataclysm to the Ironlands, and the only way to survive it is to be a worshiper of Angus because he will spare his worshippers. And so Wiglaf now knows what they're planning and knows how they're recruiting members, and he decides he needs to speak to an Iron Priest because these guys had defaced one of the iron pillars that the Iron Priests care for and worship, and they killed an Iron Priest. And he needs to find out why. Why are they defacing these pillars? What do the priests have to do with this? There aren't any Iron Priests in the area, and so Wiglaf is going to strike out and see if he can find another settlement. He's never been to any of the other settlements than the couple around here, and he's going to see if he can find another settlement and see if he can find an Iron Priest, and that is where we left off the last time. Hello and welcome, I am Scrapperlock, and this is Ironsworn, Antarctica. So we're on a journey. We're going to undertake a journey to see if we can find another settlement, to see if we can find an Iron Priest. So we're going to undertake a journey, and I think this one isn't going to be more than 10 hexes, so it's going to be a troublesome journey. So let's go to our progress tracks, and we'll start a new journey. A journey to find an Iron Priest. And so what we're going to do is when we come to the journey's end, if we're successful, wherever we end up, we will finally find another Iron Priest. And this is a troublesome journey, so I'm going to go ahead and mark it as troublesome. And that means we get 3 progress per success every time we mark progress. So after 3 or so waypoints, we should be able to get somewhere. And I don't know how far that's going to take us. But we're not going to actually do, I was going to say we're not going to do the first move, but I guess we will. It's evening, but remember, it's dark for many hours. It's probably only 3 in the afternoon. It's already gotten dark. So he's got the rest of the day to do some journeying through this afternoon. So we're going to go ahead and undertake our first journey. So we're going to leave the town, and we don't have a bond with the town, and we're traveling across unfamiliar lands, and the rank is troublesome, and we're going to undertake a journey. We roll a plus wits, which is our worst stat, and we don't have any help from any of our assets, so we're rolling at plus 2, and we roll a 1, plus 2 is a 3, and we get a 10 and a 7 on our challenge dice, so it's a miss. So we're waylaid by a perilous event. So one of the things that could be happening is maybe there are some of the cultists in like moving in on the town, or perhaps Kova's soldiers, or it could be something in the wild. So let's go to the Oracle. And I always go to the Oracles to ask the Oracle, but it's on a move. Um, so which one is more likely? Is it more likely that there are going to be monsters, creatures, or is it more likely that they're going to be people? I think this close to town, it's more likely it's going to be people or a person. So let's say um, likely that it's a humanoid, a person, an Ironlander. We roll a 90, so yes, it is an Ironlander. So then the question uh, is it one or more of Kova's raiders? Are we looking at maybe another raid? I think that's likely. And we get a 13, so we're not looking at another raid. Is it a death cultist? I think 50-50. 92. It is. So someone is coming to meet Tamir and sees Wiglaf and his dog coming across. And maybe could this person have perhaps sensed the death magic being used? I think that's likely. And we roll a 72, so yes. So a nearby death cultist who was maybe out in the woods slaughtering something sensed the ritual magic. And this is another zealot. And the zealot is moving into town and he sees Wiglaf. Maybe he or she even saw the battle in the street and sensed the magic and stuff. And so they know this guy is coming from the town, and maybe they saw him harm and knock out Tamir. And so this guy's going to just jump Wiglaf, I think. Just going to ambush him. Is it a guy? 50-50, 86, yes. So it is a male character. So let's come up with a name. So this is a zealot named, we're going to use the right-hand table, a zealot named 07, Torin. So this is a male zealot named Torin. So hang on a sec. Why is it not giving me highlighter? Here we go. All right, and I'm highlighting these so I don't reuse names. Eventually we're going to probably run out. So we're now going to battle Torin. So let's start a new progress track. This is going to be, Torin is troublesome. So this is going to be ambushed by Torin. Did I get his name spelled right here? Yep. Okay, so we're ambushed by Torin, and he is troublesome. So this is a troublesome foe. So all of a sudden, Griff starts barking, and Torin jumps out at us with a dagger raised. He's a zealot. So remember, he has met death ritual magic and so on, and he is going to jump Wiglaf. And so if we look at our moves, do we have to pay a price? We do have to pay a price, but I think the price is that an enemy attacks us, right? If you look at the pay the price, it could be something like a new danger or foe is revealed. And I think that's just the most obvious and fits the narrative. So we're going into combat, and we are entering the fray. And we have been ambushed, so we have to roll plus wits as we enter the fray. And we don't have a lot of momentum here. I think we only have 2 or 3. And we roll a 3 plus 2 is 5 against a 3 and a 2, so it's a strong hit. We take plus 2 momentum, and we have the initiative. So Griff starts barking, and this alerts Wiglaf. And he says, "What is it, Griff?" And Griff starts barking and growling at something coming in the trees, and Wiglaf hears the movement, and he jumps aside as this robed cultist wearing a mask and carrying a dagger in his right hand leaps out and says, "You will be the next sacrifice." But he swings and misses as Wiglaf steps aside. And Wiglaf says, "I don't think I'm going to be any sacrifice. I think you're going to jail with the other cultists." And he is going to, he's going to attack right? So he steps forward and he says, "Get him, Griff!" And Griff is gonna go for the guy's legs, and Wiglaf moves up with his shield and his spear, and he thrusts his spear directly at the guy's arm to see if he can not, like disarm him or stab him in the arm, maybe even try to stab him in that horrible Angus symbol. So we're rolling at plus iron as it's close quarters, and we get a 1 plus 3 is 4 against a 7 and a 6. That is a miss. So he tries to attack, but he fails, and pay the price. Surprising development complicates the quest. A person or community you care about is exposed to danger, perhaps? The action has an unintended effect. So we'll take two options. Either Griff is going to be put in danger, or the action is going to have an unintended effect, and I know what that'll be. I'm going to say that one's likely, because I think it sounds cool. But no, I rolled a 20. So he sidesteps, and when Griff tries to bite him, he kind of the cultist turns and holds his dagger over Griff and like kind of grabs him by the scruff of the neck, and Griff starts yelping, and the cultist says, "I'm going to kill your dog if you don't stand down." So now what's Wiglaf going to do? So let's go back to combat moves. And we don't have initiative. We can clash, we can face danger, we can disengage, or turn the tide. So I think we're going to face danger here. I think what Wiglaf is going to do is Wiglaf is going to take his spear, right? And can we use our asset when we face danger by holding him at bay with the spear's reach? We're not really doing that, so we're not going to use this asset, sadly. So what he's going to do is he's going to try to run in. He's going to try and run forward and, like, because this guy's only got a dagger, come forward with his shield and barrel into him and kind of knock his dagger away and kind of push him off of Griff. And so I think that's facing danger with aggressive action or forceful defense. Or is that a clash? Should we do a clash with this? Fighting in close quarters. We are fighting back. I think we're going to do a clash here rather than face danger. We're going to roll plus iron. And we get a 4 plus 3 is 7 against a 3 and a 1, so a strong hit. That means we get we inflict our harm, but we can either take plus 1 momentum or inflict an extra harm. I think we're going to take momentum. So we're going to increase our momentum to plus 6. And we are going to inflict our harm. Now remember, we do 3 progress per harm. So we do 3 because I went in with the shield and we didn't actually attack with the spear. So we've done 3 progress. And because we got a strong hit, we now have the initiative. So now if we go back to our combat moves, we can try to secure an advantage, face danger, or strike. I think Wiglaf is going to turn around, and he's really mad that this guy, "Don't you dare threaten my dog," and he's going to try and stab him. And he's not going to aim for the silly little mark on his arm anymore. Now he's really going to try to just get him with the spear. And Griff is kind of mad, so Griff wheels around and starts barking and trying to bite at this guy's ankles again as well. So we're striking. And we're going to be rolling at plus iron because we are in close combat. And so we stab at him with the spear, and we get a 6 plus 3 is 9 against a 7 and a 4. Strong hit. So now we used our spear. So this is probably enough because we used our spear, which means we do 1 harm for just hitting, 1 harm for the spear, and then plus 1 harm. So we are at 10 progress. We're all the way up. And so Wiglaf stabs the guy right in the gut, and he goes down. And Wiglaf says, "I was going to let you live, but you attacked my dog." And he turns the spear, and he lifts it over his head, and he strikes down with it, attempting to kill the guy. And unless we roll double 10s, it'll work. And I roll a 9 and a 6, so strong hit again. So If we look at end the fray, right? Nope, that's enter the fray. We want end the fight. Um, we're finishing this battle. The foe is no longer in the fight. They're killed out of action. He just jabs down and spikes this guy to the ground. And he is now dead. And of course, then Wiglaf thinks, gosh, he might have been able to answer some questions, but he attacked my dog. So we are done, and we have completed this quick fight, but we haven't reached a waypoint yet. So we're just barely out of town. So Wiglaf says, oh, we've got to go in and report this to the wardens. There might be more of these guys out here. So we're not going to be able to do anything with our journey on this particular day. Instead, Wiglaf goes back into the town, and with his bloody spear, and with Griff coming beside him, and he finds Mila again in the warding house, and he says, I just got attacked by another zealot outside of town. And she says, what? I thought the zealots were all taken care of. And he said, well, I don't know, but one of them just attacked me. And, I pulled up his sleeve, and he's got the same symbol. So this is another one of these cultists. So she says, okay, did you leave him tied up? And he says, no, I had to kill him. He almost killed my dog, and he was attacking me with a dagger. So Mila kind of looks at him funny. So now this guy has a reputation as a murderer. Is she going to think that he's a murderer? She said, is this real, Wiglaf, or did you murder someone? Wiglaf is going to he's going to try to convince. He says, no, I am not a murderer. I didn't kill anyone today on purpose. And in fact, I had every chance to kill Tamir. You saw it. I came up from behind her, and I hit her with my shield and with the back of my spear. But this guy was trying to kill my dog, and he was trying to kill me, and we were alone in the woods there. I didn't have you guys for backup. So she says, all right, take me to it. And he takes her to the scene, and he shows her the symbol on the guy's arm. So now I think this is, we're just rolling plus hard because he's trying to convince her and charm her or whatever. And this, should be fairly easy for him to do because, after all, this guy was a death cultist. Let's see what happens. We get, unfortunately, a 1 plus 4 is a 5 against double 5s, which are matched. But I have 6 momentum, so I'm going to burn it, which zeroes out those 2 5s. We go down to 0, but then back up to plus 2, and it's a strong hit. And it's a matched strong hit. By the way, somebody actually asked this on the Ironsworn Discord recently. If you get a match and you zero them out with momentum, is it a matched strong hit? And Sean Tompkins said yes. And in fact, they've reworded Starforge to say rather than zeroing them out, that becomes your roll, right? So instead of a 5 against 2 zeros, it's really a 6 against 2 5s, and you have a matched strong hit. So we have a fortuitous opportunity that is going to come our way because of the match. So let's roll action and theme and see if we can figure out what this fortuitous opportunity, as they're looking over the dead body, might be. 00, summon, and theme 94, path. Okay. So I think what happens is Mila looks around and she says, well, wait a minute. Look over there. The woods are, the trees are kind of broken here, and there's a trail. Maybe this guy came from that trail. So Wiglaf now has a trail to follow. Now it's nighttime and the twilight is turning into darkness, and Wiglaf says, well, I'm not going to follow the trail today. He takes a little bit of rope out of it, just cuts off a little piece of rope and ties it to the tree so he knows where to look tomorrow. And then he says, I think I'm going to stay in town. Now, let's see. Is Mila going to offer to let him stay in the warding house, or does he have maybe family? He was ostracized by his family, so they're probably not going to let him stay. But maybe Mila would be willing to let him sort of stay in her house or at the warding house. I'm going to say it's 50-50 because she's indifferent to him now. 53, 58. Yes. So she says, look, come stay with me. Don't go all the way back to Red Hall because that'll take you almost all night. So come stay with me. I've got a small house just down the street from the warding house, and I take turns with the other wardens, so I won't be there the whole time, and you and Griff can rest there. And I've got some food for Griff, and he might like. So she takes him back to her very small, log cabin, and They're going to spend the night. Now, I'm not going to do a sojourn move because Wiglaf doesn't need anything. He's got full supply, full health, and full spirit. We only have +2 momentum, but basically he's like a starting out character. And so he spends the night with her, and maybe they talk a little bit. And I think because we got the strong hit on the compel move, and he's shown himself to be honest, I think we're going to move her up um, another rank, right? Remember last time or the time before I was talking about how in Savage Worlds, when you positively persuade people and try to convince them to be on your side, you can improve um, their disposition toward you by 1 rank. And so if I can find it, so she's going to go from indifferent to curious. So she's a little curious about Wiglaf now. I think they speak that night after having some dinner, and they're both single, and maybe she starts asking him if he has a girl, and he says, of course nobody will you know let me court them because they think I'm a murderer, and she says, oh yes, I do understand, and he says, do you still think I'm a murderer? And she's, well, I'm curious what really happened. Why don't you tell me, the story about you and what happened to you? And Wiglaf tells her the story of, what happened to him. And we're not going to do a compel move or anything like that, but she's now curious about Wiglaf, about what happened to Honshu, about this thing that Wiglaf is just calling Grendel. And she's more curious than anything else about him now, I think. I think that's pretty reasonable. So now we're going to go back, and we're going to have to undertake a journey again. So Wiglaf goes back out, and now he's got a trail. And I guess what he's now looking for is, where does the trail lead? Now, I don't know. The trail may lead to another settlement. It might lead to maybe a dungeon, perhaps, um, that these guys are headquartered in. So he's now looking for the cultists, right? He's got a different plan now. He wants to find an Iron Priest, but he's going to look for the cultists because maybe he can find them. So he's going to undertake a journey. Once again, we're leaving from a place where we don't have a bond, so we're just rolling plus wits. We don't have any momentum to zero anything out with this time. So let's hope we get lucky, and we roll. Oh, one of the dice fell out of the tray. Where did it go? Okay, it rolled a 1 outside the tray. I'll keep it. So we roll a 3 plus 2 is 5 against a 7 and a 1, which is a weak hit. So we reach a waypoint but suffer, and mark progress but suffer 1 supply. So Wiglaf goes and he follows the trail. And he travels along the trail, and he's trying to see if he can keep up with it. And it's actually a longer trail than he thinks, and it actually takes him a couple of days, and he's following it, and there's snow covering some of it, and he's got to backtrack a little bit, so it takes him a while. It takes him a couple days to just travel like 1 hex from the river here, right, to just get 1 hex further in. And he just gets to the edge of the woods, and he reaches a waypoint. So now we have to figure out, what are we going to find at the waypoint. So let's see. Let's roll action and theme and see. He gets to the edge of the woods, and we want to mark progress, so let me do that before I forget. So we mark progress, and it's troublesome, so 1, 2, 3. And we lose 1 supply. So it takes a long time, and as a consequence, Wiglaf has to use a lot of his food. And so we're down to 4 supply. And now let's roll on action and theme and see just exactly what do we find when we kind of get out of the woods to the edge of the forest. So action 14. Inspect. $45. Inspect danger. Okay, so we perceive a danger when we get to this. What about a location descriptor? It is 05, exposed. So we come out, and it's just a flat land here, and we find danger. I think inspect danger. So there's something dangerous here. It's exposed. I think this is potentially like there's maybe a cliff and it sort of drops right down, and maybe there was a landslide. And so it isn't obvious which way to go down, and it isn't necessarily obvious where the trail is going to continue. And we might have to do some gathering information. So Wiglaf almost falls over. He stops Griff, and he sees the danger, and he backs away, and he goes a few trees worth into the forest, and he says, all right, we're going to make camp here. And then tomorrow we'll see if we can figure out the trail that we're on and see if we can find it. So the next move we're going to make is to make camp, right? So now we're going to roll plus supply, which is at +4. And Wiglaf puts up a tent, and he builds a fire, and, it's twilight, and then eventually night. And he keeps Griff by his side, and they share the warmth, and they eat some food. And we roll plus supply. 5 plus 4 is a 9 against a 9 and a 4. So it is a weak hit. We choose one. We can take +1 health, -1 supply, prepare. We break camp +1 if we undertake a journey, but I think we're going to gather information first to see if we can find the trail. So let's take the +1 momentum. So they spend the night, and the next morning, a little bit more momentum, and Wiglaf goes back to this area, and he's going to gather information to see if he can figure out where this trail leads, right? And so he's got Griff with him, and he's going to have Griff sniff it out because Griff is sharp, and we get +1 and take +1 momentum on a hit. So we're rolling a +3 here. 3 plus 3 is 6 against a 9 and a 5, so it's a weak hit. So it complicates our task or reveals a new danger. And we take +1 momentum on a hit, so we only get 1 plus 1 is 2. So that's not bad. We have 5 momentum. So so it's complicating us. So let's see. Let's roll action and theme and see what the complication is. 0-8 guard. Okay, so maybe this is guarded. And 17 renown. Guard renown. Okay, so I think they find the way that the trail is leading, but that way is guarded. There's maybe there's like a small hut, and there are a couple of armed guards standing there. So it's like a hut, a log cabin out in the wilderness, and he sees a couple of armed guys, and we're going to have to kind of sneak past them or something. So I think undertaking the journey will be to try to sneak around them and see how we do. And so that's going to be Shadow, right? So Wiglaf kind of whispers to Griff and gives him some like hand signals that they're going to have to make their way quietly around these guys. Otherwise, we're going to be fighting a couple of cultists, a couple of zealots, and since there are 2 of them, it'll be a dangerous fight. And remember, they can use magic. So he's not going to try to get into a battle with these guys because he wants to find their headquarters and see what more we can learn. So he's going to try to go around them and continue on the trail, the sort of dirt track that he's following through the grasslands. So, so we're rolling plus wits. I feel like we should be rolling plus shadow, but I guess you only roll plus wits here. So it's +2. And we roll a 6, which is great. +2 is an 8, but we get double 9s, which is a miss, and we pay the price. I think the obvious thing is they see us, and they call out, and they come to attack us. And I think there's a third guy in the hut. So it's still dangerous. It doesn't upgrade it anymore. But they call out, and they're going to attack us. So it looks like we're getting into our second battle of the session, and this will probably be where we end things. We've failed to reach a waypoint, and now we're going to have to fight 3 cultists. So this is a dangerous foe. And so we go back to our progress tracks, and we're going to create a new battle. This waylaid by 3 zealots in a guard shack. And so this is dangerous. And we're going to enter the fray. So now they're not ambushing us. right? We saw them there. I guess we're facing off against them, right? So Wiglaf gets a spear and his shield out. Griff starts growling and barking, and we're rolling plus heart, and we're facing off against these 3 zealots. And we get a 4, plus 4 is an 8 against a 5 and a 2. So that is a strong hit. So we get +2 momentum. We needed that badly. That's excellent. And we have the initiative. So the 3 guys come running at us, and Wiglaf is going to, let's see. Wiglaf orders Griff to attack one of them while he runs at the other 2, and he is going to sort of shield bash at the one and stab at the other, and he's really kind of just blocking the one dagger, and he's going to stab his spear at the sort of the one in the middle. So if you picture 3 guys coming at you kind of in a V formation, right? Griff goes to the one on the right. Wiglaf puts his shield up to block the one on the left and stabs his spear at the one in the middle, and he is going to strike. And this is at plus iron, so +3. And we roll a 5. +3 is 8 against a 2 and an 8. So that is a weak hit. So we inflict our harm but lose the initiative. So first let's go ahead and inflict the harm. And remember, we are using a spear, so we get against dangerous 2 progress per harm, 1 for the hit, and 1 for the spear. So we've got 4 progress, but a weak hit. So I think what happens is Wiglaf misses with the shield and doesn't actually stop the guy's dagger, and the guy comes around and maybe cuts Wiglaf a little bit on the arm, not enough to like cause harm or anything like that, but it forces him to back up, and he is now wrong-footed. And now the zealots are going to go. So you know the way I like to do this is to go into the combat section, and we're going to use, let's try a combat method and target this time. For fun, it's a little different. So the method of these guys is going to be to 21 block, and the target is going to be 48 precision. Okay, so I know. So the one guy who was stabbed at cuts his arm and sheathes the dagger, and then he smears the blood all over his hands, and he is going to sort of summon shadows and the darkness of death, and he's going to try to block precision, right? So what he's going to try to do is spew this darkness into Wiglaf's eyes and kind of confuse him. And it's not blinding, but it will make it harder for him to attack, right? Kind of obscure the whole area, let's say, in a little bit of a darkness field, right? A field of like fog and death. And so he summons like this death fog, this dark fog, and it's going to make it harder for both Griff and Wiglaf to see. So now Wiglaf doesn't have the initiative, so he's going to face danger. So Wiglaf sees what they're doing, right? But he's like, his vision is now obscured, and then they come at him, right, out of the fog. And Wiglaf, we're finally going to use our skirmish here. We're going to face danger, and he's going to try to hold them at bay so they can't stab him with the dagger, because he's got a longer spear. And so he's trying to hold the 2 guys at bay next to him, and he's hoping Griff is going to take care of himself over with the 3rd guy. And so we're using forceful defense here, so it's plus iron. And when we face danger with iron, if we get a hit, we can strike or clash at +1. So let's hope we get a hit. We're rolling at +3. We get a 2 + 3 is 5 against double 4s. It's a matched hit. So that is a strong hit. We get +1 momentum. And we can roll a strike now and add +1. And we get an opportunity. So while he's holding these guys at bay, accidentally he just gouges one in the shoulder, and that guy goes down. So now there are only 2 guys fighting them. We didn't inflict any harm, but we get a +1 momentum, and we have +1 on our next move. So let's go ahead and mark our momentum. We're now at 8. This is excellent. So now we can really help ourselves. And we're going to go back to combat moves. And I think now we're going to strike. So he just put one guy on the ground, and he is going to turn around and use his spear and just like put it like overhand over his shoulder and just drive it forward and try to stab the other cultist with the spear and try to make him go down as well. So now we have +1 to this, so we're rolling iron. +1 is total of +4, and we roll a 6. Best we can do. +4 is 10 against a 9 and a 1. That's the only way you get a strong hit against a 9. Strong hit, and we inflict +1 harm. So one guy is already down, and we're now going to inflict 3 harm, right? Which is 2 squares each. 1 for the hit, 1 for the spear, and 1. I think I've counted wrong here. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1 for the. Oh, that's the journey. Whoa, whoa, whoa. No, let's undo that. Down here, 1 for the hit, 1 for the spear, and 1 for the bonus. So we're at 10 progress. So these 2 guys are down, and he then turns around and he looks at Griff. And let's see, is Griff like tearing the throat out of this other guy or not? We're at 10 progress, so I think he might be. We roll a 1 and a 3 challenge dice against a. Oh no, there's no against. We roll 3 and a 1 on our challenge dice. I roll action die, but you don't need to do that. So it is a strong hit. We end the fight, and Griff is just his teeth are bloody, and he's taken this guy's throat out. And the guy's dagger is on the ground, and neither of our heroes have been harmed, and we have tons of momentum. We got some really good rolls there. I can't believe how lucky I'm getting. I'm used to getting really unlucky with Ironsworn. I wonder if that's true, or if I'm just sort of learning how to do it better. I don't really know. Maybe I'm being too easy on myself. Let me know in the comments. I don't feel like I am, but maybe I am. We still haven't completed our journey, but I think before we end this session, these guys are dead. Right? Wiglaf's going to take their weapons. He's going to check. They do have the mark of Angus on them, and they are cultists because they're doing magic. And he's going to go into the hut, and he is going to try and see if there's anything useful in the hut. And maybe make camp. And I think it's stupid to make camp in the hut. There might be more of them. So what he's going to do is he's going to, I guess, would this be secure advantage? Assess the situation, maintain. Yes, he's trying to gain leverage. Maybe there's a map. Maybe there's something else here. So he's going to use plus wit, right? Expertise, insight, and observation. He's going to go into the hut. And in the hut, he sees, like, a table, some cots, a potbelly stove. Maybe there's some food. And he's going to try to secure an advantage. And rolling plus wits. Whoops. And we roll 1 plus 2 is 3 against a 5 and a 3, so that's a miss. I'm going to live with that. Your assumptions fail. You fail, or your assumptions betray you. Okay, so there's nothing in here that's any clue, and we also have to pay a price. So the question is, what? A new danger or foe is revealed. Waste resources. Surprising development complicates your quest. Alright, so let me pause here and I'll think about it. Alright, so I rolled on action and theme because nothing was coming to me, and I got hold family. And so I think Wiglaf finds a document in here that indicates that it's got a list of people who've been captured and taken not to Duskmoor, right? Duskmoor is just it's just a town, but these cultists have a base somewhere, which is where he's looking for. And it's got a member of his family. I'll figure out what that is as we go, but he now discovers that either his mother, his father, brother, somebody in his family has been taken by these death cultists and is wherever their base is and is going to be sacrificed. Or maybe they've been convinced to join the cult. I'm not sure, and maybe we won't know yet. He's found a list of names, and someone in his family is on it, and I'll roll for that offline. And then when I come back, we'll have that developed. But now he knows he's got to have to either get somebody in his family out of the cult or rescue somebody in his family from the cult. So we haven't really made any progress here on our quest, but and we haven't made hardly any progress on our journey. Our journey is supposed to be troublesome. It's not supposed to be hard, but we've been missing on our journey to find an Iron Priest, and I don't know if we're going to find an Iron Priest at the end of this. We'll have to see, because right now he's following a trail that might not lead to Iron Priests at all. So we'll see what happens. And I think one of the things we're going to use here, if we look at reach your destination, right? On a miss, you've gone hopelessly astray, objective is lost, or you're misled about the destination, right? So I think if we get a hit, maybe an Iron Priest is actually a captive of these death cultists and he can get some information. But if we get a miss, he's gone the wrong way, and we're going to have to clear all but one progress, and he's going to have to find an Iron Priest and do another journey. But that will all come in a future episode. I hope you guys have enjoyed. I'm having a lot of fun with this. There's a lot of surprises. I think the thing I love the most about Ironsworn is the surprises. When I started this campaign, I thought it was going to be all about finding beasts and finding Grendel and stuff. And now it's turned into death cultists, and we found out why the Great Cataclysm happened, and that they're trying to make another one, and this guy's doing warmongering, and we're mostly fighting humans and zealots, and they're doing magic, and I didn't expect that. So it's all just come from the oracles and randomly rolling and then interpreting, and it isn't not the story I would have made when I first sat down with this character, but I think it's coming out really well. I hope you're enjoying. I certainly have, and until next time, I am Scrapperlock, and this is Ironsworn, Antarctica.